I want you all to brace yourselves because we are about to experience some really explosive energy, but in the best way possible. Everything about March 2025 is setting us up for years, even decades. And this upcoming new moon solar eclipse in Aries is such an important part of this dynamic change and shift that we're beginning to experience. Think of a rocket launch, think of the Big Bang Theory, think of an explosion. That's pretty much what the energy of this eclipse may feel like. Although it may happen in your life subtly, I don't want you to brace yourselves for the worst or think that there's going to be some explosion in your life. I use these examples because whatever's coming at this eclipse will likely be so different, so dynamic, such a fresh start that it really may surprise you. Happy surprise, of course, right? So, everything about this eclipse is new. And when I say new, I mean brand spanking new, new in a way that we haven't experienced in a very long time, not just because it's a new moon solar eclipse, but because of the surrounding astrological energy. If you've been looking for a fresh start, if you've been looking for the slate to be wiped clean, the universe is serving this up to you on a silver platter. So get ready. So this video is all about the upcoming new moon solar eclipse. So if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So as mentioned before, this video is all about the upcoming new moon solar eclipse happening in the sign of Aries on March 29th, 2025 at 6:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Explaining this eclipse feels very challenging. Now, I don't know if it's because of the general astrological weather right now. There's a lot going on. But I feel like this is an eclipse that needs to be felt more so than explained, okay? Because the the grandeur of it, the ability to really start over is so high. And the beauty of it is that because it's an eclipse, there's nothing that you really need to do. This is the universe's way of wiping the slate clean. You kind of just have to be in the mode of receiving and being receptive to however the universe wants to give you this fresh start. I feel like if I had to encapsulate the eclipse in a little short, sweet package, it would have been what I just said, right? And so it's interesting. I definitely geek out over astrology. Like, that's probably pretty obvious at this point, but this eclipse marks an important point for several reasons, and we can look at it in several different ways. However, I think the most important way to look at it is this. So, every new moon since November has been at the ninth degree. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you've heard me say this before, and you're also probably aware of the fact that in numerology, 9 is sort of the last number. It signifies completion but not finality. It's the number of transformation. It's the number of closing one chapter and opening another. And so essentially what that means is that even though new moons are about setting new intentions and planting new seeds, since Scorpio season, every new moon has been about letting go of something, something ending or something changing. So I want you to take a minute and sort of think back to November. And if you've been experiencing loss, if you've been experiencing sort of feeling like you need to fight to hold on to something, or something is sort of, you're being required to loosen your grip on something, that's not by accident. And you're likely not the only one that's been experiencing this. It's because since Scorpio season, it's like the universe has wanted us to get ready. The universe has wanted us to have space, to have fertile soil for the moment that we're about to experience right now, which is this new moon solar eclipse in Aries. So everything since November Even though, again, it's been new moons, it's been about wrapping things up, letting things go, relinquishing control, making space, making room. And now at this solar eclipse in Aries, now we hopefully have this room to receive this new beginning, right? Like, how amazing is that? Whether you've been conscious of it or not, whether you've been intentional about making space for this new beginning, the universe has been helping us do this for almost the last 6 months, right? And so now we're at this point where, okay, it's like you can kind of say to the universe, well, show me what you got. You've been wanting me to make space. You've been wanting me to get clear on the things that I want. So show me what you got. How good can things get? And that's the beauty of this eclipse. Not only is it a new moon eclipse, right? Which means that things are going to be eclipsed into our lives. It's about planting new seeds and setting new intentions. It's happening in the first sign of the zodiac, right after the spring equinox, right in Aries season. Everything about this eclipse is brand spanking new, like I said before. So the question becomes, are you ready? Can you feel it already? Now, I'm recording this on March 20th. So this is a good week and change before this eclipse actually occurs. And when I tell you the energy, especially because today is the first day of Aries season, the energy is electric. The energy feels like spring. It feels like some new shit is on the way. So, again, the question becomes, are you ready? And the follow up question, what are you ready for? I want you to examine those questions, meditate on those questions as we go into the energy of this new moon solar eclipse. All right, so before we get into all of the details, of course, let us talk about the basics, which is about new moons, eclipses, and Aries energy generally. All right, so I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with the concept of a new moon, right? It's when the sun and the moon are conjunct, meaning that they occupy the same space in the sky, all right? And they signify new beginnings. It's when you set new intentions and you plant new seeds, all right? And so this clearly is a special type of new moon because it's a solar eclipse. And solar eclipses always happen at the new moon phase of the lunar cycle. And it's the universe's way of giving you a complete reset, essentially. And that couldn't be further from the truth as we talk about this upcoming new moon solar eclipse in Aries, like I mentioned before. So, this is the time when you're getting a complete reset, when you have the ability to really change your circumstances. Now, you're going to want to pay attention to wherever Aries is in your natal chart. This is where this energy is going to be the most potent. However, in my experience, I find that although the subject matter of the eclipse will pretty much always correlate with whatever house the eclipse is happening for you in your natal chart, sometimes the universe will throw you a curveball and another area of life will also be affected, or something kind of random will happen, right? That's kind of how the universe works, especially when we're talking about an eclipse. But either way, clean slate, fresh start, everything new, brand spanking new at that. So get ready for that. Now, not only is it a solar eclipse, meaning that it's happening at the new moon, it's happening in the first sign of the zodiac at the very start of the zodiacal new year. It doesn't get any fresher than that, right? And so with Aries, Aries energy, it's bold, it's dynamic, it's initiating, right? It's the fire of creation. It's the first fire sign. It's a cardinal fire sign. So everything about Aries energy is like, let's start some new shit in a very bold and dynamic way, in a way that may be a little risky. It may be a little impulsive. Everything about this solar eclipse is like, leap before you look. And that's kind of how Aries operates. It's not about overthinking. It's not about, let me figure this out. You've had ample time to figure this out. Like I said, because since November, the universe has been having you steadily make room for the new beginning that's happening right now. So, this isn't the time to play small. This isn't the time to be wishy washy. This isn't the time to be unsure or doubtful. This is the time to say, listen, I am going to jump off this cliff and figure out how to fly on the way down. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm not going to psych myself out. We're doing this and we're doing it now. So, that is the energy of Aries. So, when you put that together with a new moon solar eclipse, the universe is clearly playing no games at this time. The universe wants you to have something different. The universe wants you to have something bold, something that you've always desired. Because another aspect of Aries energy is the concept of desire. Aries is passion, it's desire, and most importantly, it's focus. So if there is something, if there is a burning desire that you have, if there's something that you are super passionate about, the universe is like, I'm giving you the opportunity to be laser like focus on having this desire, right? Like, again, this is such beautiful energy because it's not every day that we get a complete fresh slate, a complete new beginning. I mean, we have a new beginning every month with the new moon, right? Every month we have a new moon. But this, being in the sign of Aries, and by this I mean the solar eclipse, it's like not even a new chapter, it's like a new book. So, again, are you ready? And all of this is playing within the backdrop of the energy of 2025 generally, which is a great segue into my discussion on numerology and the numerology of this upcoming solar eclipse in Aries. All right, so I want you to understand that this eclipse is happening within the confines of the fact that 2025 is a universal 9 year. And if you want to know more about that, definitely check out my 2025 year ahead forecast. Link will be in the description box below if you haven't checked it out already. But the number 9 in numerology symbolizes endings, completion, but not finality. And I think I mentioned this earlier, right? About how it's wrapping things up and it is the number of transformation. So the energy of the year is about transformation. And nothing speaks more to transformation than a complete new beginning. So when you think about what's happening at this eclipse, think about it in terms of a major transformation point in your life, having something completely new, a change that you can see, that you can feel, and that you can experience. While it may be happening subtly, beginning now and over the next couple of months, this change will indeed be profound in your life. So remember that. And you might need to remember that depending on how the universe is choosing to deliver this transformation to you. Now, I say that because, sometimes the universe works in ways that we don't necessarily understand or that we sometimes don't even like, right? Because sometimes to have a new beginning, you have to have a harsh ending or a surprising ending or a sudden ending, right? It's not always the case where we get closure. It's not always the case where we get an apology. It's not always the case that we get everything wrapped up and concluded with a beautiful bow and then we move on to the next thing. Sometimes the door is shut in our face. Sometimes the job fires us. Sometimes the partner files for divorce, right? But all of these things have one thing in common. They open the door for something new and perhaps something that's even more aligned than whatever is ending. Okay. And so that's the backdrop of the year. Now, when it comes to this particular solar eclipse in Aries, it's happening at 8 degrees of Aries. So the numerology for this new moon solar eclipse is the number 8. And 8 is such a powerful number. All numbers are powerful, but 8 is really a powerful number because number 1, it is the number of, people like to call it the money number, right? It has to do with material wealth. And who doesn't want a new beginning that's materially wealthy, right? But more so than that, it's about achievement, it's about reaching goals, and it's about success. It's also about the work that goes into achieving that success. Okay. And it's a very stable, grounded number. So, whatever is beginning, whatever fresh start you're experiencing at this new moon solar eclipse, not only is it going to be grounded, right? This is something that will perhaps last a long time and something that you may deem successful or materially abundant, right? But it's also going to require you to put in some work, and that work is going to begin now. So it goes without saying almost that whatever's starting at this new moon, it has this energy of longevity. It's giving like building an empire, building something great, building generational wealth. Like all of these things are very possible with this energy. And it's also so transformative. When we talk about the numerology of the number 8, it's associated with Scorpio, which is the 8th sign of the zodiac, which is hella intense, hella powerful, and very transformative. Bodes well with the energy of 2025 generally. But it's also associated with Capricorn, and Capricorn is the sign of status and success, albeit hard work that leads to that status and success. So, this new moon solar eclipse is setting us up for things that are going to be stable in our lives, things that we've always wanted, things that are mainstays in our lives, things that perhaps we can pass down to generations. All of that is starting right now. And that's super exciting. And it's going to happen in a very dynamic sort of way. So, with this happening in Aries, it's going to be really important that you are not scared, number one, because Aries is a sign that's associated with fearlessness and courage. And number two, you're willing to be a little risky and impulsive. Sort of like I mentioned before, this isn't the time to really be overthinking, ruminating. If you have an impulse to do something, and the way that the universe is going to orchestrate this may give you this intuition or this impulse to do something like right now, right? There's also inherent in this Aries energy is this sense of urgency. And so you really may be guided to do something right now that's impulsive and you don't even have the time to really think it through. That is okay. That's definitely in alignment with the energy. So just do it. Okay? Just like the Nike slogan, just do it. Okay? So, in terms of the numerology of the number 8, it's also associated with the strength card in the tarot. And this is really important because it speaks to what I was just saying before about fearlessness. Aries is passionate. The strength card is associated with the sign of Leo, right? Which is the cousin to Aries, the fellow fire sign. And so inherent in the energy of the number 8 is this fearlessness, is this strength, and is this drive to really do things that you're passionate about. So this new start that we're having now, I don't want you to think of it in terms of, well, this is what I have to do. This would make the most sense. No, it's really about what your heart truly desires and having the courage to initiate and then follow through with those desires. Very powerful, lots of fire, lots of dynamic energy that's being put forth with this particular eclipse. Okay. Now, the other thing that I like to look at in terms of the numerology is the Sabian symbol, which is an archetypal story for each degree of the zodiac. And the Sabian symbol for 8 degrees of Aries is a seer gazes intently into a crystal ball in front of them. Okay, so this shows the ability to focus, take in insights, analyze meaning, and draw conclusions from the available information. Think about what it's like to gaze through a crystal ball. Now, you may not be able to visualize that because maybe that's not something that you do regularly or at all, but a crystal ball essentially shows you your future. But think about it this way, when you're gazing into a crystal ball, it's very ethereal. And whatever you're seeing is kind of like a snapshot. It's not the full story. And so, what I love about this particular Sabian symbol is that it reminds us of the fact that we're going to be able to see a glimpse of our future, no doubt, with this particular eclipse. So, I want you to make sure that you're not only paying attention to what you see, but you try not to doubt it too much as well. This is the universe saying, listen, this is where you're headed. The universe may even be breadcrumbing you at this point in time, which could be a little frustrating, but that's again how the universe works. But there is this mystery when it comes to the final destination. Keep in mind, Aries being the first sign of the zodiac, and with us experiencing this eclipse and it's happening during Aries season, this is the very beginning of the race. If you've ever run track, or if, let's say, not even track, if you've run cross country track, right? I mean, I haven't, but I've seen it. You can't see the finish line when you start off, right? Think of it even better, right? I think the cross country example was a little too out there. Think of running a marathon. Clearly, when you start a marathon, you cannot see the finish line. You know there is one, but you just can't physically see it yet. And that's also a facet of this solar eclipse. Glimpses of the future, glimpses of the path forward, glimpses of the finish line will be sort of in your mind's eye, but you're not going to be able to see it tangibly yet. And it's important that you keep that same fire, that you keep that same drive to make it to that finish line, because we're at the very beginning right now. Dynamic energy, but we're still at the beginning. And this is a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, so it's important to keep that in mind. So when we talk about the numerology for this eclipse, it's grounded, it's structured, it's success oriented, and it has a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? They call 8 the money number because it signifies material wealth. But like I said, it's that material wealth that comes from disciplined and diligent work. And so you may see that there is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but we're embarking on a new journey to achieve that pot of gold. And it starts right now at this eclipse. Okay, so now that we've talked about the numerology, let us talk about the astrology associated with this new moon solar eclipse in Aries. All right, so the astrology surrounding this solar eclipse is kind of legendary. And I talk about the general forecast for the month of March in my March monthly astro forecast. Link is in the description box below if you haven't checked it out already. But we've got 2 retrogrades, Venus and Mercury. We had 1 eclipse already, a lunar eclipse in Virgo. We've got Neptune going into Aries the day after the eclipse. And that Mercury retrograde is actually going to be conjunct the eclipse. Okay, so essentially what that means is, to put it in a nutshell, I should summarize this with a nice bow. This new beginning could really be a resurgence of the past, but in a better way. So let me explain. Venus retrograde is helping us refine what we want in terms of relationships, money, fairness, equality, balance in our lives, beauty, all of that stuff. So we've got these Venus-like things from the past coming up, okay? Then we've got Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is plans from the past, conversations from the past, things that you wanted to learn from the past that are also in the mix right now. So essentially, this new beginning that this solar eclipse is giving you could really be a rehash or a version 2.0 of something from the past that either never failed to launch or that didn't work out. And thankfully, the way that the universe is kind of putting this together means that this time around, it'll be better. It'll be different. It'll be very much a profound transformation. So think about that, particularly if you have a desire, a burning desire from the past that you really want to accomplish now. I feel like the universe is going to give you the opportunity to do so in a major way. Now, with this eclipse conjunct Mercury retrograde, this is the opportunity to rewire the way that you think, new plans based on past thoughts or even past plans. Right? This could be having this fortitude and this mental strength to change your circumstances. The way that this Mercury retrograde conjunct this eclipse feels like. It feels like this willpower. It feels like this drive mentally to have something new and the universe being able to back you up on that. So you're going to want to take stock of where your mind is at, what you're thinking about, what you're ingesting, what you're ruminating on. And when I say ingesting, I mean mentally, right? So that you can figure out, okay, what is this new beginning? What am I passionate about? What am I willing to take a risk on? Because this solar eclipse is going to give it to you on a silver platter, no doubt. All right. So, if you are entertaining something from the past right now, that's not a bad thing. I know that so many astrologers will tell you, so many spiritualists will tell you, even something from the past comes up during a retrograde. It's not necessarily here to stay. It may not be the best for you. And that may be true. However, the fact that the universe is orchestrating things right now because we are in the midst of eclipse season, if you are entertaining something from the past, it's likely for a very good reason, because that might be something that moves you into your future. It may be in a way different than you expect, or maybe in a way that's different than you planned out. But the past could really become the future at this point in time. So don't discount anything just because it's making a resurgence. And I love that for us, right? Because some of us have had desires that we've had to put on the back burner or modify, or it failed to launch. And now the universe is like, oh, nope, it wasn't the right time before. But now it is. And now it's going to be even better. All right, so now that we've talked about the numerology and the astrology, let's talk about manifestation and how that is going to look at this new moon solar eclipse in Aries. All right, so in terms of manifestation, we all know that the new moon phase of the lunar cycle is when you plant new seeds and set new intentions. However, this is a special breed of new moon. And my opinion, and this is my opinion alone, is that there really isn't much you need to do during an eclipse, because it's when the universe takes the wheel. Now, you will have other spiritualists who say, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, and that's perfectly fine. And if you are guided to do so, and I say this with all seriousness, and I want you to hear what I'm saying, guided to do so, because that may be how the universe is giving you this brand new start. If you're guided to do some ritual or some sort of intention setting or whatever, do it. However, I'm of the opinion that I just let the universe do what it needs to do. And I listen and I'm receptive to whatever happens. So during eclipses, I'm a candle magic girly. So I don't do any candle magic. I don't do any, of course, I will set intentions and I'll journal and do all of that. But in terms of doing actual rituals, I don't. I let the universe take the wheel, do its thing, and then I act accordingly. But again, the important thing to understand, whether we're talking about manifesting at an eclipse or at any time, when you are tapped in with your higher self will let you know what to do and when to do it. You just kind of have to be able to hear that voice, heed that guidance, and then act on it. But either way, sit back, get your popcorn, and see what comes through. I feel like the energy of this eclipse is so interesting because, again, we've got a little bit of the past coming back around, perhaps. We've got complete and total transformation. We have a brand new slate, a clean slate, a fresh start. Like, I'm letting the universe orchestrate everything, and then I will take action once the dust settles. But again, it's up to you and it's up to what you are personally guided to do. But either way, like I said before, are you ready for this new beginning? Are you ready for the tables to turn? Are you ready to walk through a new portal? Are you ready for life to look, feel, and be different? That door is opening now. So walk through if you so choose. All right, my loves. So that concludes this video on the upcoming new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this eclipse and beyond. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.